Oscar, I'll tell you about that. Now, we'd love to have you in the audience. And David, let's introduce our next guest on the hot seat.
Well, next up on the hot seat, Wally, tonight, as you've already said, and I'm glad you used the name,
Okay.
Blase Bonpane, who is director of the Office of the Americas.
All right, give my nice round of applause out there. Now, Blase, the very first thing I want to ask you, is that your real name, Blase Bonpane?
That's my real name.
You never
But
worked
what
on...
I'm here for tonight is to be here as a Marine corporal, which I am, and as which I served in Korea. My platoon died there. And I'm a little bit, I think it's a little bit unfortunate that you're not going to die in Grenada, but these young people are.
Now, wait,
before they die
wait a minute,
there,
hold on,
I
please.
want them to know that one old Marine told them that they didn't even know where they were going. They didn't know the difference between Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia.
Hey, wait a minute. Can I start the interview going?
Nicaragua. They didn't know where Guatemala died.
Hey, wait a minute.
And they're going to die.
Wait a minute.
They're going to die in Central America.
Wally, let you and I have our own show here.
To a charlatan like this, they listened to him.
Now, wait a
and
minute.
they cheered, and they went on like that. Now, remember that an old Marine told you that you were going to die. You are not coming back from Central America
wait a minute.
alive. You will come back dead.
Over
Don't
here,
forget
Wally.
it. The Marine Corps told you that. Remember that.
Hey, listen to me.
I don't listen to you. I've heard enough of you already. I'm telling you. I'm telling these young people.
This is my show, and if you don't knock it up, I'm throwing you off personally.
Is that
Now, do you
so?
hear that, Marine buddy?
Yeah.
All right.
Listen.
America is still number one, Bonpane. Now, let me tell you something. Now you see the kind of maniacs that I have to face on this program. Can you take a picture of what he did to my desk? He is going to hear from the attorneys of this station and from my personal attorneys, because he not only turned over my desk, but he also attacked me personally on my shoulder, came after me. The man, I think, needs mental care. Any man who would behave the way he does, and he says he's a former Marine. You can't tell me that. And he says he's the head of the Office of the Americas, and he told me he was here. He wanted to have a conversation to speak very intelligently to the people of America about his organization, because he wants to spread enlightenment and education. And this is how this man spreads his intelligence and his education, by behaving like a raving maniac, jumping up and turning over my desk. Now, the reason I came to him and grabbed him the way I was going to physically throw him off my stage. He was going to go on for 25 minutes and rant and rave at my audience and insult my audience, and I won't let him do that to you. Now, I want to tell you, he wasn't insulting me. He wasn't even looking at me, but he was looking out at all of you young Americans out there, and I want to tell you something, gang. Wait a minute. You guys and girls out there are 100 times more American than he will ever be.
Wally, you know, as I've said so many times, this guy was against war. He's a pacifist. And as I've said so many times, there's nothing more vicious than a militant pacifist.
How about that? Now, you know, what I was going to ask this man, it's unbelievable how irrational a person can become when he can see that his point of view is not being taken by the vast majority of Americans. You see, people like Blase Bonpane, you know, they can't believe that 80% of the Americans in this country are in favor of the president's invasion of Grenada. You see, that's right. Because, you see, it's people like Blase, these pacifists, these peaceniks, these anti-nukers, it's these people who are trying and have tried for years and years and years to brainwash the American public into thinking their way, that the only way for peace is to give in to the Russians a little more and a little more and a little more, and to be pacifist and to have a complete stop of the making of nuclear arms, to have a complete nuclear freeze, even if the Russians won't, to stop building military arms, even if the Russians don't. Let the Russians move into Grenada. Let the Russians move into El Salvador. Let the Russians take over Afghanistan. Let them take over Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Hungary. Well, I'll tell you what. The Americans across this country have heard it, and they've had it up to here, and now they know that we have a president who's telling them the truth. Unless we start acting instead of reacting to the Soviet Union, we are surely going to have a third world war and go down the tubes to the Soviet Union. And as long as the American public believe our president and don't believe nitwits like this, we're going to survive.
You need car insurance? Get legal today. Call Select Auto Insurance. I don't care if you have DUIs on your record, accidents, speeding tickets. They can get you insurance at the proper price. Call my buddies over at Select Auto Insurance, and you tell them Wally George sent you, and they'll give you an even bigger discount on your automobile insurance. Do it now, friends. You'll be so glad you did.
Get great connections now. Call. Would you like to speak to this girl, or this girl, or this one? Call right now and sample girls like these. And ladies, you can sample guys like these, or these. Would you like to get her name, or her name, or hers? Do you want to connect? Sample great guys and gals who want to talk to you. Guys, do you want to meet women? Gals, want to meet men? Call for real samples now. Adults over 18 only. Love Talk, you know what it is. Call for free samples now. Love Talk, they're waiting, they're ready. Your free samples now. Love Talk, more than a fantasy, much more than a dream. Call for free samples now. It's Love Talk, open, lively, complete. Personal, private, confidential. Love Talk, call for free samples now. Love Talk, they're waiting. Your free samples now, adults over 18 only.
There's all new programming.
Why not a full 1 hour of news?
A beautiful receptionist. Some are very talented, and some not so talented.
What is that supposed to mean?
It's WKRP in Cincinnati, Monday through Friday nights at 7 o'clock. And KDOC has got...
I'm Wally George. In case you just joined us and you're wondering what in the world kind of a set is this, I mean, if you can look at this, we just had a man go berserk on my stage. I mean, I'll tell you, where else are you going to... You won't see this on Saturday Night Live. I'll tell you. Blase is going to hear from our attorneys. He ruined a $500 microphone, not to mention my desk and many of our props. This man is not going to get away with this. And you know what I was going to be saying to him? We have to talk a little bit about Grenada, because what I was going to ask him and have him respond is that, you know, they found airstrips on Grenada that were going to be used for Russian-Cuban bombers. They found tons and tons of ammunitions and rockets and all that. El Salvador, of course we have to be there. I was going to ask him why not. Can't we see that Central America is going right down the tubes, Mexico next, and then the United States of America? I had a lot to ask him, but he wanted to go into a tyrant and attack my audience because they didn't go along with his bull you-know-what. Now, you know what? I was out on the street here in Orange County, and we took our hot seat cameras out to talk to the people, to find out what they thought about the invasion of Grenada, and here's what they said. Listen. Well, can you tell me what your opinion is of the invasion of Grenada?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think President Reagan's doing the right thing. With all his experience, I think he knows basically what he's doing.
There are certain doubts that I have, but I think in the overall picture, I'm for it.
Well, I'm for it 100%.
Why?
Because I think it's the right thing.
I think it's looking into the future more than the present.
You really do? You think it's a smart move?
I think it is.
I think it's about time that America show the world that communists have to be on the other side if they like it. There are so many people in the West Europe and Eastern Europe that they will swim through the ocean if they could to the America. And the one that they are against that, we don't invade it. Grenada, we liberate them.
I think he's doing the very best he can, and I think he needs our support and all of our prayers.
Absolutely. He needs all of our support and all of our prayers. Do you believe that? Okay. Right on. Right on, President Ronald Reagan. At last, we are showing the Soviet Union that we have some guts for a change. Let's go to the podium and get a question. Yes, sir. Your name and your question.
My name's Jeff Gillette. I'm from Downey. And I'm just sick of these liberal communists. They're always saying we have to let Russia in. We have to sympathize with them. We have to let them in Nicaragua, right, Cuba, El Salvador, and now Grenada.
Yes.
I'm sick of it. They all say we have a choice between war and peace, but I say we have a choice between war and freedom.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Thank you very much. Okay. Next. Very good. Okay, sir, get up there. Can I have your name and your question, please?
Wally, I'm Eric Jenkins. I'm a loyal at Marymount student, and I want to tell you I'm scared of Blase Bonpane because he represents to me the fanatics who will just jump up and impassionately turn over desks, and if we let them get too much control, God knows what else they'll be turning over next. And I think Reagan made a right move down there in Grenada, but I'm worried about, you know, when is enough enough? How far do we know to go? And
well, here's the whole thing. We had to make a stand because we had a weak, lily-livered president under Jimmy Carter who would let the Russians do anything they wanted to do. Now, you see what was happening is Russia was slowly gobbling up every country one after the other. 90 miles off our shores, my friend. You know, we had a man on our program some time ago, Colonel Walter Cronk, who's an expert in what's happening in Cuba. And he showed us documented evidence that those missiles, those Russian missiles that supposedly were dismantled when President Ronald Reagan, President John F. Kennedy had the Cuban blockade. Do you know that those Russian missiles were never dismantled? There is evidence, and the president has them, and we saw it on our program, that those missiles that were supposed to have been dismantled were never dismantled, were camouflaged, are still there on Cuba, still aimed at the United States of America. What the president has seen is that with the help of Fidel Castro, Russia is taking over all of Central